Don't make any apologies for your existence. You know the struggle you've been through. You know why you're doing this. You have to value yourself, and you have to be able to have that relationship with your agent or your manager.
Femi Oguns is an agent and one of the most influential figures in film and television in the UK and USA, founding the Identity School of Acting and the Identity Agency Group. His expertise and guidance have been instrumental in shaping the careers of many prominent actors, including John Boyega, Damson Idris, Letitia Wright, Michaela Coel, Simone Ashley, to name but a few. Femi has received numerous accolades throughout his career, including in 2014 being appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire, and he was the first agent in the UK to receive a special jury prize from the British Independent Film Awards for his significant impact on the British film industry. Welcome, Femi Oguns, MBE.
Hey guys, welcome back to the WeAudition Show. And we're here with Femi Oguns, who is an agent extraordinaire from the UK, also a producer of You Heard, and is responsible for many of the top talent you see coming out of the UK. Tell us about that, Femi.
No, it's been great. It's been a wonderful journey. But listen, I can't continue with this without just saying thank you so much for having me on your show. I call it a show. Feels like it's a show. It's wonderful to be on there. I just heard nothing but great things. So thank you.
We're grateful for you to be on it too. And we've already had a few of your clients as well, which is so, it's amazing to keep it in the family, as we say.
Absolutely. No, thank you. And it's been a wonderful ride. I mean, it's been 21 years now, so it feels like I'm giving my age away slightly, but 21 years of nurturing, developing talent. It's been a wonderful ride. Don't get me wrong. We've got some ups, we've got some downs and stuff like that, but that's all part of the adventure anyway, of being an agent and representing talent.
Now, you started out as an actor, didn't you? Is that something that you decided to change your pursuit, or did you become an agent feeling like you were not getting the representation you needed and wanted to provide that for other people?
It was organic. It was an organic process. I think it's a combination of both those things. But, rather than treat this as some kind of religious exchange, it was a voice from God that basically said that, you know what, Femi, your job is to nurture and develop talent rather than be in front of the camera, which it took me a while to wrestle with at the time. But given the byproduct of me deciding to listen, it's produced so much wonderful, wonderful work from so many different wonderful artists. So it's a combination of that. And I feel as though it might have also been the right time for me to step away on that one.
Times have changed though as well, haven't they? In the industry, times have changed from 20 years ago.
Absolutely. And even with how the agency was birthed, it was birthed from the drama school. And it was a well-known documented fact in mainstream drama schools many, many moons ago that there's a lack of diverse talent that were entering into these schools. We call it BME talents, people of color from different cultures. So rather than join a chorus of complaints 21 years ago, I decided to do something about it, where I wanted to create a safe haven for actors from all different backgrounds to be able to celebrate their identity through acting. And it's from the drama school. That's what then led me to create the agency further down the line.
And as someone that started out in the UK, I mean, I started with an agent that also had an evening drama school. And I always talk about this, I find that such an amazing way to create the relationship with your client, because that agent, back then I felt knew her clients better than any other agent that I knew, because you were working with them on a weekly basis. Do you find that a lot of your talent come out of the drama school and you represent them because you've seen how they work and that's a plus, or do you get your clients from different places?
So no, it's an absolute plus. And it's a true definition of what a partnership is between an agent and an actual client. When you've been able to go with them on their journey from, discovering them to be able to, to developing them, understanding and nurturing and educating them about the business practice, as well as, being able to be quite blunt in terms of when you're getting self-tapes, for example, and saying, great, you know what? No, we need a bit more of this. We need a bit more of that. And I have to say, it's by no means me trying to, pull WeAuditions into this, but it's so important having the right reader. And that's one thing. That's how I discovered you guys, because purely we had so many of our actors actually using your service that even the quality and the actual success rate went through the roof. And it made my job easier, because I found myself doing overtime before I heard about you guys. When it came to go, great, we have to go back again on the self-tapes. It's not quite right. Because a lot of actors don't realise you're only as good as the person speaking against you, opposite you on the actual self-tape. So for us, and sorry, that's almost like I'm going for WeAudition, just trying to sell. I don't need to sell you guys, but I'm just saying how helpful it was in that process. But for me, working with my talent, understanding them, it's not by any coincidence why a lot of them have ended up staying at the agency for God knows how many years. Like, it's not foreign for us to say, yeah, great, we've got a client that's been with us for like 10, 12 years. And I think that's a testament to the fact that we understand them as well as we're helping to bring opportunities their way.
It's like a nurturing relationship. Can you talk to us about any clients that you've seen grow throughout their career and what their trajectory was like from start to where they are now? I know you have a couple of massive names on your books that people will know.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones where I don't like to call it like a needle in a haystack, but very early on in the process of, when you're seeing people in the acting school, you get to see, that person's got a spark. There's something special about that person. And the great thing about, the school is about the fact that it allows us to be able to stretch them. So we've had people come through our doors like John Boyega, Letitia Wright, Damson Idris, Michaela Coel, Fola Kimbola, Melanie Liebert. We've had so many massive successes. And the great thing is we've been able to replicate that now in LA, with the school that we've got there, where they've gone on to do some magnificent stuff. So for us, we're just really, really fortunate to be in a wonderful environment where we have full access to a really, really large demographic of wonderful actors that just want to feel safe in an environment where they're able to grow, but also to be represented by agents that can tell them the truth. Because a lot of agents, especially in LA, or managers for that, I'm not going to put a brush against all of them. They're too scared, especially with their top tier talents, to be able to tell them the truth, where they're going wrong or whatever it is. But when you've had that, when you've looked after that relationship right from the beginning, it's very, very easy for you to have that open relationship where you can be great. You know what? We need a bit more from this, not too much of that. You're going the wrong way. That sort of thing. So that's what's been really, really unique and I have to say beneficial being in our position.
Let's dive into that a little bit more. Like, what are some of these truths that you see that actors need to know on a regular basis? What are we missing?
Okay, so it's just different stuff that we want to touch on. So let's, for example, talk about representation. For me, I can only speak my truth as an agent who receives so many emails coming to me. And I always say to people, keep it short, keep it brief. Number two, make sure that if you are forwarding an email that you sent to other agents, you recolor it. Because those times when you got the black and the purple, when you got the black and the purple, and I'm like, yeah, okay, right. So I'm one of many now. So make sure you recolor it. But make sure that whatever you say, if you can't fit it in 2 or 3 paragraphs, forget about it, because we're going to switch off. We're very, very, very busy people. All we need is something that is personable, something that shows that you've done your research and go straight to the point. I've looked at your list. A great fan of yours. I would love for you to consider, this is my material, end of, right? With a great picture.
Right.
That's all we need. Another thing, what else can I say to actors? Don't take too much advice from other actors. It's so funny because I just because it just feels as though actors in general, I shouldn't be saying in general, only a small proportion of actors take on the position of being an agent or a manager or a producer, and they start to give advice to other actors that are completely not true. And it does beg the question, where did they get all of this advice from? The most important thing is, as an actor, is to try and make sure you forge that relationship with your agent or your manager. If you haven't got a relationship, if you can't talk to them, you have to move on. It's as simple as that. You shouldn't be in a position where you're working from fear. We both have to understand that we're building a relationship here and it should be open. There's a lot of agents and managers that do this whole power play thing. They haven't got time for their clients until they book something. That's the wrong place to be at. So what I would say is, it's not always a situation that being anywhere is better than being nowhere. Sometimes you have to, take pride in your own ability, in the struggle, in your own journey. But also you want to find an agent that, okay, of course, has got the contacts, but alongside that, you can have a good relationship with and grow a really, really great career with.
Yeah. Do you think it's better to be one of the more established clients at a smaller agency or a less established developmental client at a huge agency?
What I found with friends that work with other agencies, because it's a different environment from how it is with us, and I'm not just saying that, is the fact that it is very, very easy for you to get lost in a really, really big pond. It's so easy. A lot of people approach agencies like fancy belts. Great, I've got my CAA belt on now, I've got my WME belt on, whatever it is, and that's it. And they're great. They're great places. A lot of our clients are with them. But what's really important is that your manager has got the influence. That is your spokesperson. That's the person that's going to make sure that you are always going to be considered, reconsidered, or positioned when it comes to the dealings with agents. Because what we have to really understand in this current climate, especially given the fact that we've gone through whether the ATSI or we go through the SAG strikes, the right strike, whatever it is, this massive hole that we're in right now is a byproduct of what was needed. It was needed for the strikes to happen. But by that, all of this stuff has happened. So with agents now, they've got less time to be able to nurture, to develop, or have patience for. Whereas if you're with a much smaller agency, they're going to have much more time for you. So I would say that it's better for you to be in a place that will have the time. Now, the reason why I said it's very different from my point of view is because, as you can understand, is by no means me stroking my ego. I've got a bit of a personality, as you can probably tell. So with that, I'm quite consistent with my personality. So you can even ask firsthand from the clients I look after. I make sure that they've got a position with all these agents that we work with. So every single one of the clients that I look after are with the big three. That's it. But it's not just the big three. It's like the big three plus me. Like there's a relationship. We meet up once every 2-3 weeks with the rest of the team. We strategize. We talk about things. And that's what's great. So I've been able to have some great relationships with these agencies where they understand exactly, okay, you are now acquiring this talent. Okay, right. And with this, we need to make history with the person. I know it sounds all history and all that kind of rubbish, but we need to make history with this client. So if we're going to engage in this, let's put our money where our mouth is. So it's been a wonderful ride. And that's why, if you do check the slate of our clients, a lot of them are with the big agencies, and because it works really well. But we have got the smaller ones there, and it equally works just the same anyway. It's all about your representation. The manager that works alongside them is crucial, that they have that kind of influence.
Now, for anyone that doesn't understand how it works across countries, your agency is based in the UK, but when you say the big three, you're talking about CAA, WME, UTA, correct? Which is the American agents.
That's right.
Now,
that's correct.
How does a UK agent work with an American agent, and how does that affect the client?
Okay, so because I always think about WeAudition being in America, and I forgot you're global. So for those who don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do know, when it comes to me in the UK, it's pretty much we solely represent our talent. In the UK, you can't co-represent with anybody else. But then when we take our talent overseas, we are now building relationships. And with that, then there'll become a commission divide. So how it all works out, an actor's got a choice to have their British agent and a manager, or a British agent and an American agent, or a British agent, manager, and an agent. And with that will come then the commission splits. A lot of agents, though, when it comes to sharing their talents overseas, they tend to stick with one other party. So it's either an agent or a manager. Of course, there are times where they have a manager involved and an agent, but that is less than more. It's more done with, on a one-by-one. Reason being is because as British agents, we take on that position as being magents. That's what they call us. We're managers and agents in one. So we do that. Yeah. So we do that job anyway. There's such a thing as, having too many cooks in the kitchen, that will spoil the broth. Sometimes actors may feel as though, great, they need loads of people on there, just they've got all eyes. But really and truly, yes, you're only forfeiting 1%. But that 1% means there's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of eggs up in the air. And where's the accountability? Where's the responsibility when it comes to that? So don't get me wrong. In some areas, it does. In some cases, it does really, really work really, really well. In other cases, it doesn't so much. But as I said, given my personality, I'm sure you can see the temperature, right? I speak for more than one person when I'm talking. So, yeah.
Some people have agencies in local places as well, like Atlanta as well. Would you ever recommend that? And is that something you do at a certain time of your career?
So I can't speak too much on into that, just because I've never ever done that before. So my one's pretty much just been with us and a New York agent or manager, or an LA agent and manager, because we're able just to be able to touch every single territory that there is. Yeah.
And when you've gotten into producing with clients, is that a separate element, or is that part of the agent relationship deal as well? I know you've got executive producer credits on a couple of movies where your clients have been involved in.
Absolutely. It is born out of the agent's relationship. I mean, I don't do that as much as I would like to, just because I don't want to compromise. There's a famous situation. Well, there's a popular situation with a famous actor and their agent, and they then became producing partners. And it kind of went downhill, and then it starts to filter into your working practice as an agent, working with your talent as an actor. But the times that I have had and I am having have been really, really enjoyable. But for me, it also still buys into the reality of, like, are you a green lighter? Would you be able to green light projects? If it's a situation whereby I have a flock of talent that are not quite there yet, then I wouldn't, just because I know, the arduous process of going through all this kind of stuff is going to detract away from the other work that I need to do for them and the other clients. But if they are off a certain level, then a discussion is open for that.
If you'd like to join the WeAudition community, go to weaudition.com/show to get 25% off. Now back to the show.
And do you ever get involved in packaging clients and explain to us what that is and how that would look for talent?
No, absolutely. I spend most of my days packaging talents, but the great thing about that is that I've got the luxury of being able to lean on the likes of the big three, for example. So it makes my life so much easier, which is pretty much, looking at so many different scripts over and over again, looking at production companies, looking at investors, looking at cuts and making sure that's all in line. And then just, presenting it to the client, talking them through it, seeing if it's something that they're interested in. Then you've got to think about entry levels. Like, are they going to do they want to be so hands-on right from the beginning, right to the end? Or do they just want to lend their name to it? So it really depends on what particular project we're dealing with. But I spend most of my time packaging projects with my clients.
And for anyone that doesn't understand, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're finding the script? Does it mean that you're helping some newer talent on your roster get involved in something because you have a big name talent? What's the different variables of that?
The great thing is that a lot of the projects, a lot of the stuff comes to us. So we don't actually find the scripts. Those scripts actually come to us, and we're having to navigate through all of that stuff and then go, all right, great, cool. This is a great, cool project. Who is it that we've got that we know is going to be able to bring money to this, that we know that it's going to be a good fit, a great fit, and the investors are not going to be shaky about. So that's pretty much the way it's done.
Okay.
And that's money as well sometimes. Is that, how far early in the process are you? I suppose it's all above the line stuff. And are you approaching investors, or would you go and partner with production companies, or who do you package those for? How does that work?
We pretty much align ourselves with production companies already. So they really do the dog work. I mean, you can just imagine, especially in this current climate, investors are really, really holding on to their money. It's not really easy for them to let go of it. So they need to make sure that you've got a really healthy track record. They've got to realize that you've got a great production backing there in order for them to part ways with it. So for us, it's very, very easy. As an agent, I'm there to make sure that I attach the client there and make sure that, they can be creatively active within that project as much as they possibly want to be, and the left is over to the agents that we work alongside to be able to package it and put all the financial components in place.
So it's a bit like you're the key, really. Your talent is the key then that can unlock that distribution deal or that money or that whatever. So it's quite a lot of power and responsibility, I presume.
No, it is. And as an agent, it is a lot of responsibility, because the fact is, once you commit your client to something and it ends up being a massive flop, then, all eyes are going to be on you, so you have to make sure that you proof check it. Apart from, getting several dramaturgs to look over the script or whatever it is and make sure it's watertight and make sure that you've got an opinion in it and whatsoever. You also got to make sure that even budget-wise, even when independent companies come to us directly, we've got to do our due diligence and make sure that that's legit, that they've got the money. They're going to put the money in escrow. Because we've had some really, really awful experiences in the very, very early stages of this journey, whereby actors have committed to something and we've had to take them through courts to be able to get the money. So it's one of those ones whereby, as I said, this journey that we go through as agents or whatever it is, it's full of ups and downs. But the great thing about it is the learning process and learning from one's mistakes and whatever. So, yeah.
Now we're talking about actors at the top levels, like you've mentioned, John Boyega, Letitia Wright, where they're getting offers in. With an actor that's not at that level that wants to be, what are some things that they can be doing, both for their own career to help them on their way, but also to help you as an agent to do your job if you've got an actor that's not yet at that level?
I'll say to just be ready, but also by being ready, it's also being patient. It all boils down to the very thing that I said to you right at the beginning in terms of making sure that you're with the right partner. And making sure you're the right partner has to be based also on their track record. Like, as long as it's established that these guys have got a proven track record in terms of how they've been able to nurture and develop talent alongside the connections they've got in the industry, you have to understand that it's both our benefits, you succeeding. But also, and by no means is there a situation whereby whatever an agent gives to you or whatever a manager gives to you, you just take. Not at all. But there has to be an element of trust. It's so funny because I can only speak from an agent's perspective, but one of my colleagues shared a book with me many years ago, and it's about the different stages that we go through in terms of the client-agent relationship. I think I spoke to you about this, Darren, some time ago, whereby we have to adjust ourselves in accordance to the journey that the actor's going. So the same agent that I was on stage one of the actor's career, first of all, I signed them straight out of drama school. I can't be that same agent when it comes to stage 6, for example, where they're a lead in a big, massive feature films, because then I take on that daddy kind of position, and they don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be told that I want to do it my way. And it's just being able to have that maturity and openness and understanding that as actors, they are the architects of their own fortune, and we are only privileged to be able to go on that journey with them. But the great relationship between an actor and an agent is the fact there's an openness and a willingness to learn and to share and to grow. That's what really, really works for me. So what I'll say is that there's a lot of actors. You say, great. So what are the kind of projects that you want to get into when you first sign them up? Oh, yeah, I want to be leads in feature films and everything like that. And that's wonderful. And we've got some nice examples where somebody's gone from 0 to 60. But a lot of people aren't going to go from 0 to 60. So, but what I do as an agent is make sure that when I introduce projects to my clients, we make very calculated strategic steps. And that's always going in an upwards direction. For me, I call it about giving span to one's career, but essentially giving height to somebody's career, so that every single job you do is pushing the needle. So that, because you can get somebody who's really committed themselves to 3 years worth of training. And then they find themselves going, great, I'm out now. I want to be leading the feature film. And it doesn't always work that way. But even doing the small roles and being able to get the experience from that, but also having eyes being cast. Casting directors, they'll snap you up. A lot of actors don't realize you might not get this role, and it might be far beyond your control. It might be down to the way you look, the way you sound, but you might have done the best audition ever. Those casting directors always remember somebody who's fantastic. And that's what it's all about, having the openness and willingness to go on a journey, but also knowing that it's a progression at times. We've heard it all before. It's not a race, it's a marathon. Some people are running shorter marathons than other people.
It's really nice to hear that you say the casting directors remember, because I think in this era of self-tapes, a lot of actors really think that it goes out into the ether and maybe it's seen, maybe it isn't, and they don't know, they're not getting the feedback they used to. So it's nice to hear you say that casting does remember the right people for the right reasons. And then the other question I had on that, though, if you're an actor that's, say you're at co-star level and you've been doing a bunch of co-stars and you really want to do a guest star, is that your choice to tell your agent, look, I don't want to go out for these roles anymore? And then when you've been doing a bunch of guest stars, I only want to do series regulars? Or do we wait for you as our agent to advise on that? Or maybe it's casting's choice.
No, I think it's a combination of the first 2 points that you made, but we all have to be willing that if you're gonna do that, you're making a sacrifice. And it's not for you then, because I've had so many situations in the past whereby an actor would say, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. That's it. And it's not a problem, but just understand it might be quieter than you're used to. And a lot of them will then say, actually, you know what, I don't mind going back into that. But it is all down to that element of trust. I mean, for me, it's I've got a set formula for my actors, just to make sure they follow a route whereby we don't get stuck at one level. But by the same token, I do have to advise and guide them that it is going to be hard, okay, at times, but you've got to be willing to stick at it if that's what you want. Yeah. But if I don't mention it, I can only speak from on my own up. If I don't mention it, it means then no, we can still add more flesh, more meat onto the bone before we take that next step. So it's a combination of both.
How do you stay inspired as an agent? I mean, what's your career trajectory look like? Is it going in the direction you thought, or have you got different aspirations in the next 10 years, for instance?
I think the motivating factor is the actual clients. That's what it is. It's the clients. It's seeing the actors doing their stuff. It fills me with such excitement. I think if I'd done it the traditional way, I probably wouldn't be an agent anymore, because the fact is, going to a showcase where I don't even know who these people are, and I'm having to go, great, cool, coming for a meeting. Yeah, I like you. I'll sign you up. That for me is a bit scary. So the fact that I've been able to take my time to be able to learn and understand each and every one of these clients has been wonderful. And that's what's further inspired me. Because once you get to know these people, then you can build that wonderful, beautiful picture in terms of where it is that you want to end up. And for me, I've always said, for me, when it comes to IDSA, the drama school, the acting school, sorry, in London or in LA, for me, it's about getting talent and disrupting this industry and making history. It's as simple as that. I'm in it to make history. And I see nothing but it. So I don't ever put a limit to my vision and to my aspiration. I leave it open, because I just feel as though as soon as I do that, I put a ceiling, and I could go much further than that. So for me, the stars are the limits. Well, it's not even the limits, but it's just as far as we possibly want to go. But yeah.
One of the things I love about what you've done with IDSA, the drama school, is you sort of disrupt an industry in a positive way. Like you said at the first, off the bat, you gave opportunities to people outside of the traditional drama school system. And now what you're doing with your short films that you do with the clients, and you have this series called Motel, right? Where the students ends the course with filming an actual film that is by all means a broadcast quality film. And I think that's so important for actors to have that level of work, even if they've had that level of training, because you've only got to do a couple of small roles in a network show and you've got a premium show reel. So I think a new actor has to have that going in. Do you find the casting watch these reels more than actors think?
Absolutely. They do. It's so important. Like, as I said, with self-tapes, it's same against with show reels, that's another thing. Like, doing a show reel with actors that are not at that level, that's going to affect your performance. There's something about, as a casting director, if I'm watching something and other actors within your scene are not good, I don't care what Oscar-winning performance you're doing. You've lost me already. I don't know. It just feels dirty. It's like, this is filthy.
We were talking about this last week. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. It's so crucially important that everything, you are building a wonderful painting on this canvas. And that's a great thing about, for example, IDSA in London, IDSA in Los Angeles. We're the only acting studio that is part-time in the evenings, where we nurture and develop talent. And we also have film cases where these film cases get shown to the industry. So just before the pandemic, we had our first film case at the Chinese Theatre. We had a lot of Hollywood turn up, managers, agents, everybody. Well, I can say everybody as anybody, because you guys weren't there, so not everybody was there, all right?
But I actually live right down the street, so I should have been.
Imagine that, okay, right? But for us, it's not just about nurturing and developing, it's about giving them a platform to be able to showcase their talent in front of the very, very people that can change their lives. And from that film case, we had so many people signed up, whether they signed up to us or signed up to other managers. I mean, we've got two people that have been on like what is it, Parish for AMC, and we've got another person that's in another show at the moment. Oh God, she's going to kill me, and I forgot the name, whatever it is. That's just two classic examples of what happened in Los Angeles. But what we do is with these film cases is that we give you guys a wonderful scene reel that you can even put forward to casting directors or managers or agents. And we've seen the advantage that's got because it's shot high definition with a great film crew and with actors that you know are operating at a very, very, very high level. If anybody wants to see it, I hope you don't mind, but if I can do that quick plug, but if you go into Identity School of Acting, identityschoolofacting.com, and you go into the film section, you can get to see what some of our actors have been doing. They've been doing some great stuff. So those guys are about to do it again in October, their next film case, in another motel. So these motels are different stories and different motel rooms. And we're just venturing into that. So it's wonderful. But as an agent, as a principal, whatever it is, it's trying to think about things outside of the box. What's going to help to give these actors extra ammunition when it goes out there in the battlefield? And discussions that I've had with various production houses and agents alike, come the first quarter of next year, we're going to be back in business again. Like, it's slow, it's sluggish, and I know the frustration that a lot of actors are having at the moment, given everything. But this is a byproduct of the very thing that actors were fighting for in the first place. But being able to have that ammunition for next year is a wonderful thing. Just making sure they're well equipped.
Do you think the industry is going to get more refined? I mean, we all know that work went away for the strikes and also the pandemic. And now it seems to be coming back in a more strategic way for the producers and the studios, in that they just have to be more deliberate about it. And they seem to be spreading less budget over less projects. Is that good for the quality of work, you think, even though it's going to be less work in general?
It's going to be less work, and to a certain degree, it's going to be less money in certain places, because these studios have been very, very clever in how they've crafted out contracts now. So there's very little now of series regulars going around now. What they call it is recurring actors, recurring positions with options on there. So they blatantly know they're going to have somebody for the whole season, but they'll give you like a recurring kind of rate, whatever it is, and they add another one on and another one on. And that's why it's very important that you have got the right representation that fishes this out right from the beginning. But we've also got to bear in mind, from their point of view, they've lost a lot of money. That year and a half they're out, they need to somehow get that money back somehow, in some shape and form. So yeah, it's a bit of a give and take when it comes to that. But it's just about just making sure that you've got the right attorney just to be able to see through all of it.
Yeah. Are you concerned about AI?
Yes, I'm concerned like everybody else. What's my approach to it? My approach to it is, if anything, is actually being the Bunsen burner now behind me, where I'm like, you know what, this is giving me more fire now to say, I need to make at a much more faster rate, more green lighters, people that are going to green light by the time it gets to that stage whereby AI will be taking over, and the only actors that are really going to be given a massive shot are those ones who can green light projects. Honestly, I don't think it's even foreign to believe that they're going to be AI actors that are going to have a massive fan base. Imagine that, some artificial being.
I think that's already the case. That's already the case on Instagram. There's huge followings for AI Instagram that don't exist. They're just run by agencies, or they're run by influencers. And some of those are going to be moving into drama, surely.
Imagine that. And the fact is, and you can see it, I've discussed this with different agents. You're going to get your green lighters that can do 3 or 4 movies at the same time. All they have to do is to record different emotional approaches to scenes. Great, act vulnerable, or show fear, or show anger, or whatever it is. Great, we've got that facial expressions. Great, and let's have a bit of voice. Great, and they can put that into any scenario that they want to. But that's why such strikes and such certain movies is so important for us to delay it as much as we possibly can. But for me, generally, I don't think it's going to completely take over. It just can't, because people want to be able to have something that they can really, really, really relate to. So, I think it's still an open discussion.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of discussion both sides on it, really, because I've read a lot of theory about AI that when AI replaces the grunt work that a lot of people are doing, what we're going to have is more time for entertainment. So the need for entertainment and authentic entertainment will be greater, number one. So that's like on a positive note. But I remember speaking with a lot of actor friends last year about the kind of AI concerns. And for me, I feel like if you aren't a named talent, then no one needs to steal your likeness. They'll just create a whole new one. But where it's going to be interesting is when you have value, when you are a green lighter, then when people want to see you as a entity, then you'll be able to work 5 or 6 jobs at the same time as AI. Meanwhile, the people that are worried the most are the sort of inexperienced actors. No one's going to want to AI you because you don't have any value.
Exactly. And I've had this discussion many times, but then the problem's going to be that there's only so many different images that you could put out there that's not going to look like somebody. And sure as hell, somebody looked like me. I mean,
at some point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the closest, living AI is probably Kevin Hart to me. I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? But the fact is, okay, right, that is going to happen. But you've raised a very interesting point. It will get to the stage whereby AI will take on those roles. Okay, right. I don't know if they call them the same in LA, the supporting actors, the ones who did extra work.
Background artists, supporting actors.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
They're taking on all those works. So, because think about it, when it comes to those other positions though, the ones where there is a semi-regular star or whatever it is in a show, it's going to be far more expensive to make that one work, tap dance and do all this kind of stuff. So, but for all the other background work, that will be taken up, unfortunately. It's just what it is.
I think that is already. I'm being advertised stuff all day, every day when I'm on the internet about background packages that you can download and put into your engines that you're making your films with. For that lower budget stuff, I think that's already happening because that makes a dent on a budget on a low budget film.
You know what, Richard? All they got to do, they got to get that blink right. This AI
That's what it is,
thinking, well, you're not blinking enough, or have you even blinked yet? It's one of those ones. Once they get that, we're all in trouble. I'm telling you.
I actually saw a campaign when I was working in Europe, and I saw Bruce Willis on a big campaign, and I was like, I didn't know he was working anymore. I didn't know, and I investigated slightly, and the whole campaign was an AI campaign. So he didn't actually show up for it at all. It was just his image and his license. So the managers are still, doing the job and selling his IP.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he's got some health problems now, hasn't he? He's quite famously documented that I believe his estate have said, and in some ways, I don't know, I'm kind of into that. Like, I mean, we can have these amazing film stars live on and make new movies,
James Dean movies.
I mean, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, I think everything has its pros and cons, right?
It has its pros and cons, but I do feel as though there's still going to be a thirst for seeing real people on screen. I mean, AI will have its own environment, its own fans, its own taste. We're probably going to want to dip in and out of that stuff. But then there's also going to be a thirst for seeing real interaction, real emotional interaction that can't be replaced. So it's going to be interesting times. But, I always say when the wave's coming in, it's up to you. It's either get swallowed by it or bring out your surfboard. Yeah, yes. There you go. There you go, Richard. I'm telling you, the Caribbean's getting to you now. I'm telling you.
And to your point there, I mean, when NFTs came out and digital art came out or Photoshop came out, we still go to galleries and we still look at Picassos, and collectors in the world still buy those original artworks for more and more and more money. So this thirst for original film. And I noticed something recently. I went to a concert the other night and I saw a really large amount of people taking photos on the old phone cameras, traditional film that you get developed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people were there at this concert without using their cell phones. So I think everything ebbs and flows in different ways. And it maybe traditional film will become cooler again. And, there's
exactly. But also indies. I think that when AI does do its thing, indies is going to be king. It's going to have a massive place, because that in itself is going to be art in its truest fashion, visual art in its, in its biggest fashion. So for me, it's going to be, it's scary, but I'm just really interested just to see how and where it goes.
So talking about indies, do you ever go to the film festivals, and how important do you think a film festival, career is for an actor?
I do go to film festivals, but the majority of the time when I'm going is when I'm going there to go and support talent that I've got in there. Unfortunately, I'm only just one person, but the rest of my team, they tend to go every single year to go and scout talent, scout scout new directors, understand their work, but also just to be able to forge, much more deeper relationships. That's the one time that I would say is that you've got time to be able to sit down with people that you've often spoken to over email or whatever it is and just discuss and see if anything can come off it, So, no, it's been great, but I need to dig back into it. But it's just a matter of time for me at the moment. Managing my time.
Well,
I need to be a bit better on that one.
You need an AI twin.
I do. I really do. That hasn't got as much sugar as me. In its
We're really big advocates at We Audition at film festivals. We host events at all of them because we just think for talent, you're in this sort of controlled environment where everybody's there to try and elevate each other's careers. And you just meet the best people and have great conversations. And, I think relationship building is, you mentioned at the start of this podcast about the business side of acting for actors. And I think relationship building is something actors can do on their own to support their agents' work, so that when you guys pitch us, these people are already aware of us in different ways. What's your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. It makes such a massive difference, just in terms of even just closing deals, or not having to do the extra paragraph of conversation. When it comes to trying to pitch a certain talent, when you've got these relationships there, they're just wonderful to have. But also I do encourage actors to be out there to network with other actors. Because there've been so many examples that have been presented to me whereby people have found themselves on wonderful indie projects that they wouldn't have done had they not gone to these festivals. So I think it's a massive, massive, massive plus. And if you've got the chance to go through it, you should.
So tell our audience, if they want to get involved in Identity School of Acting, how do they do that? What's the situation and the semesters, and how does it all work?
Great. So we've got branches in London, in Birmingham, in Manchester, and Los Angeles. We're hoping to open up a branch in Atlanta next year. Simply, you go onto the website and you can read up about it, because as I said, it's not just about learning; it's also about giving you guys the opportunity. It's a part-time, so we're on the evenings and the weekends. You train no more than 9 hours a week, but it's mainly 6 hours because you go 2 days a week, 3 hours at a time. So the process is you apply, you audition. If you get in, that's it. Yeah. That's the first stepping stone. And the great thing about the school, and you should really try and get Anthony on here if you do get a chance. The great thing about the school is a wonderful family-orientated feel. I mean, Darren, you came and you saw what we had going on there. It's a wonderful, supportive environment. It's a place like no other, where it's not a sterile environment. It's one where they're nurturing and developing each other. But as I said, then you've got the other place where you can actually showcase your talent on screen or in a showcase setting in front of agents and managers alike. So, no, it's great. It's wonderful. But the proof's in the pudding. Go onto the website, identityschoolofacting.com. It's an acting studio, which is just open for you guys to make great connections and also to grow in.
Oh, thanks so much for being here today. You've given us such amazing advice for the community. Just want to ask you one last question, if I may. What do you want your legacy to be?
I just want to be able to leave a blueprint on this earth. Knowing that, whatever I put my mind to, I did, but also I done my bit in trying to make the world a better place for somebody else than to build on top of that. That's what it's about for me. Just trying to leave something on this earth that counts as something that inspires people to build even further. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I think that's definitely happening. And the talent that's come out of the Identity School and also the talent you represent is certainly on the way to that. So, thank you for being on. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
Absolutely. I mean, for all the years that I've known about you and known you, I mean, you've always been an inspiring force, and I love the way you nurture the talent. It really makes me feel better about the agent-client relationship when I see agents like you and also Jonathan and Nikki, and how I hear the clients talk about you guys when you're not there as well, which is equally important.
Always
as
positive,
I know a lot of your clients, and I've worked with a lot of your clients, Malachi, all these people, and they always have such, there you go.
Yep.
They always have such positive things to say about their agent-client relationships. I think that comes back to anyone listening out there. You got to strive for that relationship. And I think that's when your career will feel the way you want it to feel. So thank you for doing that.
And also, just don't make any apologies for your existence. The struggle you've been through. Why you're doing this. Please, please, please sometimes being with no one is better than being with somebody who does not value you. You have to value yourself, and you have to be able to have that relationship with your agent or your manager. If you're scared to speak to them, then you need to address that. And if nothing changes, you need to move on. It's simple as that. So anyway, that's my last parting words. I know it wasn't that much of a positive, but I just wanted to just leave that there.
Good advice.
I was going to say, there was our soundbite for social media right there. That was perfect. Femi, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Cheers. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WeAudition Show. Your hosts were Darren Darnborough and me, Richard Cambridge, from WeAudition, the leading professional actors community where you can connect, learn, elevate your career, and always get a self-tape reader on demand. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're a WeAudition member, or even if you're not, we would love it if you could please subscribe to this podcast, as it really helps us. And if you have friends who might get value from this episode, please share the link with them. You can find us at weaudition.com or for your iPhone or iPad by searching WeAudition on the App Store. See you next time.